Oh, hello there. You just caught me in the middle of reading. Reading what, you might say? This book is called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. uh, I need someone around all the time so I don't do embarrassing things. so, uh, so uh, for my paw, there is that Artie and Sandon and myself have been reading this book, The Slight Edge, and there's another book that kind of goes hand in hand, related. It's called The Compound Effect. This book is freaking phenomenal too. These books both are amazing. Um, these books are. It's very weird. They're simple yet incredibly profound. Um, in that this probably the Slight Edge is probably the best self development book that I've ever read. That seems hyperbolic. This is probably the number one, at least the first recommendation that I would make to anyone as far as self development, and I love the genre. And so reading this, and it's really caused me to think about not only just in my personal life, but okay, I need to look for like an article or something to send you on a summary. But okay, well, I'll give like a summary, right? Okay, so it's really kind of the one same distinction repeated from different angles in different ways, but it really kind of drives home the points. And basically, what it talks about is that the concept of the slight edge is how in your life, it's basically a philosophy. Basically, what it says is in your life, your life, your success is shaped by the tiny decisions that you make every single day, day in and day out. Um, these decisions are easy to do and just as easy not to do. And I think that the biggest, it's all awesome, but I think probably one of the most important things that it talks about in the book is the perspective of time. And, magnifying the decisions that you make in any given moment, magnifying those and thinking of them on an extended timeline, and how maybe like a concrete example, one that he gives in the book is he says, you never think that the bite of a burger that you're having in that moment is the one that's going to make you overweight. You're never thinking that, like, oh, this dollar that I spend is the one that causes me to bust my budget. I go over. You never think that this little mistake is the thing that causes this. Or you never think that, on the opposite end of the spectrum is you never think that this, $2 that you save, those are the ones that make you rich. That's the $2 that made you rich. That's whatever, But the reality is that wealth is built, success, weight loss, all these things are these tiny incremental steps, where that are a little bit mundane. It's not sexy. It's not flashy. It's not, here's the 7 magic steps to make you, super smart, rich, gorgeous, whatever, everything like that. But basically, this book, it talks about mastering the mundane, simple, daily disciplines that are easy to neglect and easy to skip because you think that they're not that big of a deal. But when you look at them on this extended timeline, which is the key ingredient to being successful at something, it adds up to success or failure. It can go either way. It's a success curve. It can go up or it can go down, depending on what you do. Every single day, you overeat just a little bit. You just have a little bit too much food. It's not that big of a deal. An isolated incident is not that big of a deal. But if you do that every single day on a long enough timeline, you're going to put on a significant amount of weight. And then the opposite of that being the case, if it's not that big of a deal to eat just, a couple bites less every day, or to practice slowly decreasing that, or to put away $5 a day to save. It's not that big of a deal. But over time, these things, especially with compounding, it's specifically in finance, it's compounding compound interest. That's what it's called, the compound effect. It's very similar as well. I read Artie and Sandon haven't read this. Oh, I think I did. I gave Artie a copy of this one too. So anyway, I was just thinking about this book, and specifically as specifically how it's applied to interpreting and looking at. As I was reading, it's my third or fourth time reading this book. I love it so much. But I was thinking about it, specifically going through it this time because I recommended it to Sandon. Artie's already read it once before. Sandon's like, oh, that sounds really cool. So we did like a group, pardon me, we did like a group meetup a couple times to talk about different things that we're working on in our own lives. And I really started to think about it in relation to interpreting this time, because we have these PAWs, and I was like, this is a phenomenal book right here, because this is everything right here. This is the day in, day out. You focusing on one, like, thing here or there, but or the one-off situations, or going to a workshop. I'm sure that you feel it's like you talked about, is when you can get deep, when you can get into stuff, and you can really take something and start applying it on with disciplined regularity. That's when you start to see the difference. Not today, not tomorrow, not next month, maybe not even next year, but eventually it really starts to do this, and you get that upward curve, and it's what makes a big difference. And I've definitely already noticed that. Definitely already experienced this in some effect. When I look at where some of the students in my ITP, or not even specifically in my cohort, because a lot of people in my cohort stuck with, but I mean just a lot of people in my cohort have stuck with interpreting, but some of the other students who weren't going out weren't doing the things, the simple things, easy to do, easy not to do, weren't going out and hanging out with deaf people, weren't picking up new vocabulary, weren't going asking questions, weren't bringing sentences, weren't and this manifests in every single way, in every single area of your life, but specifically with interpreting. One of the biggest things is spending time in the deaf community, or even doing this stuff. So I wanted to pick out some things. Let me see. Look at my notes here. Just some stuff that I wanted to expand on, but I wanted to pick out some things to commit to doing for myself, that I feel like will make a big difference when compounded over time, which are maybe simple, maybe don't seem like that big of a deal, but if you do them for 10 years, if you do them for 15 years, if you do them for 20 years, they make a big difference. And I actually even remember one time, Kathy, talking to you after, I think I texted you after the meeting, after our No FOMO group. That's what it was, last year. And I said something, I forget what we were talking about specifically, but I remember being really impressed because I could tell that doing the work on doing the work. What were we talking about? Was it ethics? I forget what it was. But I remember specifically telling you, being really impressed and saying that this is something that I can tell that you've really done the work, and you continue to do the work, which is amazing. And I remember talking. Remember when you and Brandy were interpreting Bob's class? And I had said to Brandy, I was like, wow, Brandy, you've been in this for 13 years. I think it's been 15, 16 years at this point. And you're still like getting your camera out, sitting there, watching the video, going through it. So I think that I don't have to convince you that that picking behaviors that are successful and continuing to do them and investing in them over time are really good. But while that might seem like a little bit of an obvious concept. Like, of course, you need to keep working on things. You always need to keep working on things. I think the reason why these books are so phenomenal is because I think one of the most dangerous sentences or dangerous concepts in self-development is the idea that, oh, I've heard that before, or I know that, or I already know that, or that's basic, right? Because even though something seems fundamental, you're like, of course, yeah, you need to keep growing, you need to keep practicing, you need to focus on things and keep doing or whatever. But I think that's a really, really dangerous idea, because there's a difference between I've heard that before, or of course I know that, and this is something that I execute every single day. This is something that I do consistently. every single day. This is a reason. Like, yeah, in this book, in Compound Effect, Darren Hardy, the author, he talks about, he's the former editor of Success Magazine, and one of the things he opens up the book by saying ladies and gentlemen, I'm the tortoise, from The Tortoise and the Hare. He says, if you give me enough time on a long enough timeline, I will always win the race, because I kill with consistency. I am there making the right decisions. I have these deep rooted positive habits that support my success, and on a long enough timeline, I will always come out on top. I will always always do well, always be successful. And not to say that I'm coming out on top. I'm not interpreting it as a competition, just meaning that you will tiptoe your way to success in the field by making small incremental improvements over time, instead of, which is what is often popularized as the idea of the quantum leap. Right, someone just suddenly was really good, was really awesome. Wow, it was amazing. They were so good. Michael Jordan comes to mind now. He always gets all those praise. People say, "Oh, Michael Jordan, he's the most talented basketball player of all time, the most talented basketball player of all time." But what they never talked about is the 9 million hours that Michael Jordan spent grinding it out, shooting, practicing different shots, over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And really, that usually when you see these people that are at the top of the game, top of the field, that are the best, that are doing the best, is because the skill that you see in that moment, whatever you see, especially with you guys, with you and Jen and Tina, you guys have been in the field doing the work, and never stopped doing the work this whole entire time. And so, basic, maybe it's not complicated. I guess it's not complicated, but it is. I think it is the most important thing still, though. So again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I get super fired up when I talk about this book, because it's so funny. It's like this like unsexy thing. It's just like, you need to pick your things that you're gonna do, and in this one, in Compound Effect, Darren Hardy, he says that success is not about doing 5,000 things 5 times. It's about picking 5 things that you can do 5,000 times and doing it consistently all the way through. And I was like, that's it. So that being said, concretely speaking, I sat down and I started to think about some things that I wanted to do consistency in my own interpreting, wanted to focus on, that I thought would maybe have the biggest return on investment. And I would like to discuss this, and I'm curious what your perspective might be compared to my perspective from where I sit. I tried to pick things that I think I just personally know affect me a lot, that obviously I can speak to, but just what you would think with your perspective that you've had, with a long-term perspective, what you think has the people you feel have longevity in the field, what are maybe the unifying characteristics of those interpreters, or that have had a lot of success, and also as well the opposite of this, the inverse, the inverse of this being maybe what are the consistent things that you see people who don't last in this field doing. And maybe some of those behaviors are harbingers of, not lasting in the field, be it, or maybe you keep working in the field, but maybe there's stagnation. So that I just thought that right now. That's a really good. I'm gonna make sure to write that down and ask you about that. Stagnation. Sorry, you have to watch me write, but it's I can't really pause this. I can't pause it. The recording. I can only stop it and it would cut and be a new file. Stagnation behaviors. So what are the unifying characteristics of interpreters who last long in the field, and not only last long, not only are around for a long time, but also thrive? And so and I wanted to bring those out of the abstract as much as possible, bring my steps out of the abstract as much as possible, and turn them into concrete steps that I can take on a daily basis, or maybe not daily, but at least work daily, like Monday through Friday, um, steps to make them concrete. So first, my thought is that. Continually learning, but that's a pretty vague abstract concept. It could be like, oh, I'm learn something, learn one thing to learn something cool. I'm continually learning or whatever. But what I wanted to do was take a small step. So the first thing I was thinking is I want to commit to reading daily in the field, be it a street leverage article, be it I picked this is one of my favorites right here. It's Great Interpretation. I'm sure you know this book, but it's just got the coolest list of little things to do, which each one of them, they're not the biggest, thing ever in the world. But all of these add up to a lot of awesome things. And there's other stuff too. There's other sections and everything. All of these add up to skill. All of these add up to a skilled interpreter. All of these aptitudes. So reading in the field, be it something from a book. I have lots of really good books. Some that I've read, some that I've purchased and not read. There's a lot of amazing content on street leverage. There's a lot of really good YouTube videos. But just basically making a commitment to, even in the morning. I have a pretty solid morning routine going. I wake up in the morning, do even just a little bit of exercise, like a couple push-ups or some stretches, or a very short little walk. I do just a couple minutes of meditation. I've been pretty consistent with that for about half a year now, and then adding and I read, but adding into that just even just a couple minutes of something that kind of brings in the focus to the work, and even doing that will just kind of make, instead of just going through the motions of going to work every day, that will kind of bring presence to the work. And I've noticed that when I think about the work that I'm going to do, even just a little bit, if I even just kind of front load and think about what's going on in my classes that day, and what I need to do, and reminding myself what I need to, okay, in this class I need to transliterate, I need to be clear, I need to mouth a lot because the student needs that. In this class I need to work on restructuring because the student is pretty much a monolingual ASL user. Even just doing those little things, just mentally engaging in the field, even if it's just for a few minutes during the day, and specifically doing that through reading books, street leverage article, or maybe a YouTube video, something related. That's going to be something, not a big deal on any given day, right? But then, like I was saying, these things add up, right? On with the perspective of time, that's what's going to become huge. That's going to make a big difference, because it's not going to be that big of a deal if I read the article on fingerspelling location this morning. Cool. It's not that big. But if I read a couple of these pages, but then if then my focus for the day is I'm doing fingerspelling location, and I read this, and it's telling me, okay, where to position it in the correct spot, whatever, and then I think about that all day. And if you go through this book, enough times, if you go through the other things, if you keep working on it, all of those things, if you do that for 15, 20 years, there's going to be a hell of a difference between the Chase who didn't do that and the Chase who did do that for 15 years. I put that down as reading daily. Really, it should be just grow daily in the field, reading daily. Specifically, but it needs to come from, I think, some sort of material. It really kind of gets the the wheels turning. So that's my first daily commitment, at least during the workday. I don't know on Saturday or Sunday if I'll be doing this as much. Well, I mean, I guess I will, because I'll be doing lots of assignments and stuff. But specifically, my commitment is, my morning routine is very solid Monday through Friday. So just adding in that one step to kind of orient my day and kind of get me focused towards work. That's one thing that I'm thinking of doing. The second thing that I put down is kind of my mantra, which I mentioned in my reflective analysis too, is what I've been thinking about the last couple weeks. And this is where I'd like your input here too, because I keep, personally for me, I think that sometimes I'll start signing socially, and By that I mean casually and sloppily is really what I mean, to be honest. And so kind of the mantra, I think in the last couple weeks, maybe the last month or so, is I keep trying to remind myself, I've not done it consistently, but at least at the beginning of the day when I walk in, to think smooth, clear, and fully attending to the message. Smooth, clear, fully attending to the message. Um, Smooth and clear, because I know that if I focus and I pay attention to smoothing things out, calming things down, and being deliberate with my pacing, with my signing, that makes a big difference in everything. Now, granted, not looking to sacrifice affect here. If the teacher's frantic, or the teacher's unclear, teacher's whatever, obviously that needs to be reflected. But um, there are ways to be clear while still. It's just not something that comes naturally to me. I think that signing socially, but I don't think I'm naturally very clear all the time, even in English. If I watch this video back, I'm sure that lots of times I just kind of, I have a thought and I kind of jump 3 words ahead and go. So that's just something just to focus on, especially when I'm being paid to be clear, to be clear. So anyway, so just to kind of check that much smooth, clear, and fully attending to the message. Check that kind of like mantra every day. Going into work, even just maybe I have to attach it to something as my routine. When I pull up in my car, yeah, I'm gonna do that when I pull up to work this week. I just pull up the car and say smooth, clear, fully attending. And it's yeah, again, like you were saying, these routines, just working on it, not that big of a deal today, not that big of a deal tomorrow, won't be that big of a deal 6 months from now, about 5, 10 years from now, it'll be a big deal if I keep thinking that every day, smooth, clear, fully attending, smooth, clear, fully attending. Just like it was in my first year when I was an intern, I was really, really nervous all the time to go into work, and so every day I'm gonna be like one foot, would just say one foot in front of the other, keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up. It'll get easier. And then I just knew it. And eventually it did. But 6, 7 months in a row, I wasn't too nervous to come to work anymore. And then nerves became more situational. So maybe this will change. This might change when I feel like I'm doing a really good job being smooth and clear and fully listening. Maybe this will change to something else. But maybe just having that focus for a while and then going on that. Something else is just a commitment that I've been working on, and I want to say out loud is going to sleep on time, which affects my fully attending to the message / deep listening, mantra that I've been thinking about too. It's just about being rested and getting a little bit of exercise, and that's something I'm working at. Have been improving, but we're just working on making sure to get plenty of sleep, because that if you don't have brain, you don't have brain, and it's. I don't need to elaborate on that. Going to sleep on time is hugely important. And so I'm working on perfecting my routine, but that's just something that so read daily, mantra, smooth, clear, fully attending to the message, going to sleep on time. And then the other thing too is I was just noticing in the classroom is sometimes I just have like distraction going, just myself, just distraction, and by that, which encumbers the full attention to what's going on, to the presence, to the work, to what's going to deeper processing, to thinking, to paying attention, to active teaming. And I just noticed part of it is my phone. Like I'm not like on my phone the whole time. I'm not like one of those which is I'm in the off chair, I'm just on my phone. But even just like checking my phone every time I get in the off chair, when I don't necessarily need to do that, I suppose, or just just taking things out of my pockets. I don't know. That's probably not a big deal. As big of a deal with the clothes that you wear, but like when I wear jeans or our pants and they're a little snug, they're fitting, as just being comfortable, just doing whatever symbolizing that signals to myself, to my brain, that I'm here for this time and I'm fully focused and fully present. Got my notebook, and I always take the notebook out and everything, but just really fully and just setting up the physical things and the mental expectation to be fully present every time I go into the classroom, which is easier said than done sometimes. But and I've noticed it with some teams who I feel less enthusiastic about working with. Um, I don't always do that. So even committing to taking stuff out of my pockets, putting my phone in my bag, away from me, getting the notebook out, writing it down, and taking some notes and committing to writing down some sentences. Um, that. So I guess what would I do? I put minimize distractions on the notes, but I guess I would just say presence. Maybe is what it is. More just presence in the classroom. Taking things out of my pocket, specifically get my phone out of my face. Um, it's again, it's not bad. I'm not like just sitting here, but it's still even just looking at your phone when you get something, you're like, oh this, oh respond to that, respond to that, respond to that. It's a couple minutes at the beginning of an off turn, a minute or two or whatever, every off turn. Instead of just being like, okay, I don't need this. Maybe just touch the screen, see if it's the office. If it's not the office, don't even open the phone, and then just put it down. So yeah, that presence and another thing, just presence. Okay, cool. And then this is more of an abstract concept, but it was just really cool, and I wanted to share it, and I think that this will be a byproduct of the other things that we've talked about. But he talks about in this book, in the Slight Edge, about I'm going to show you every time. Look, talking about the concept of getting better. Improving in a skill, improving at something, improving just the tiniest little bit. And what they're saying, what he was saying is that if you can improve 1/100th, that's 1% every day. If you can improve 1/100th, be 1/100th better than you were the day before. If you look at that on a year timeline, that's going to put you at 365% better than you were when you initially started working on something. So it doesn't seem like that big of a deal to be like, oh, I'm just going to do 1/100, do 1% better today. I'm just going to do 1% better. That's all I'm going to do than I did yesterday. So I'm just going to pick this, so I'm going to pick something in this book right here. I'm going to do the finger spelling in this area. Or I'm going to, I'm going to identify every speaker. That's 1% better. I'm going to identify every single speaker or describe each person. Or I'm going to, the million different things we work on in interpreting. That concept is just so freaking cool, because you think it's like, oh, there's so much work to be done. I have to do everything, and there is so much work to be done. But when you chunk it down to these extremely small things, just think, if I just get this a little bit better, I'm going to be so much better by this time next year. And then that just compounds and multiplies and multiplies and multiplies and multiplies in the following years and time. So I love this. I love these books. I love these concepts. I'm going to see if I can find an article, maybe somewhere online, where they talk about this, and you can kind of get like a cursory glance at it. But I think I did a pretty good job of explaining the basic concept here. Anyway, that's my commitment, and I was thinking, and I would like to get your input as far as the mantra, smooth, clear, and fully attending to the message. If you feel like there's something, or what you feel like would be the best use of like intense focus on, like as far as a like an 80-20 sort of thing. I think I've talked to you about the 80-20 law before, the Pareto principle in business. 20% of your effort is responsible for 80% of your results. Have I talked about that before? I don't want to explain it if I explained it to you before, because I have a tendency to go on and on. Shocking, I know. You probably know what I'm talking about, as this video is only 28 minutes. But yeah. So anyway, this was awesome, and I've been thinking about this whole month, and I was like, I really want to do this topic. So this is good, and I kind of much stuff in my my RA about this as well, because there's just been things that I've been thinking about. So hooray for the PAW.